Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Melanie Dizon. I'm the Director of Education and Content at the Davis-Phinney Foundation. And today I am here to talk with a whole bunch of people who are involved with a really neat organization called PasstoPass. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today.
Hi,
Hello.
thank you.
Good morning.
Hi. Okay, Linda, let's start with you. Can you let us know who you are, your involvement with PasstoPass, and how you got involved in the first place? What drew you there?
Okay, hi, my name is Linda Lee, and I am someone who has always loved backpacking. Did a lot of it with my dad growing up. Have a passion for being outside, but I've also over the years gotten a passion in staying physically active. I've personally seen how that has slowed down people's progression in diseases such as Parkinson's, but also just in growing older. I have a lot of Parkinson's in my family. My mother had it, my grandfather had it, my aunt has it now, my dad has a form of Parkinson's right now. He himself is someone who I saw physically declining, and his neurologist strongly encouraged he get involved in physical exercise. And within 2 months, his health changed. He still has his disease, but he is so much better. My mother had Parkinson's and she was not physically active, and I saw her decline very quickly. So early on, I could see that physical exercise made a difference. So that was a passion I already had the passion for backpacking. And then you know, your computer and Facebook learns what you have a passion for, and it knew I had those passions. And one day, PasstoPass ad just came up on my Facebook, and so had Bill Meyer's name, so I contacted him. And the next year, I started getting involved, and that's how I got involved, and I love it.
Wow, that is very, very cool. Such an interesting story with all of those family members. That's amazing. And also, you know, it is, I love that, because I want more people to realize how valuable it is to exercise. Like, it is the difference between living well and not, and right. So that is interesting that you got to see it, you know, both firsthand. Brian, you're on the phone, right?
Bill,
I'm sorry, Bill, you're on the phone, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's at age 57 and 70 now. And I've been with PasstoPass from its inception. I'm one of the founders. I was 5 years into my Parkinson's journey when I got DBS, deep brain stimulation. And it was a game changer for me, because I've been suffering from tremendous tremors, and DBS was around. So I thought I'd better see if I can get back into the mountains and do some hiking. So in 2015, we did a test hike, and it just about did me in. It was in the encampments. We had a 4,000-foot climb in 2 days. And I realized then that if I was going to do some hiking, I needed some more help. The of us that were on the test hike had a great trip, but the heavy pack was digging into my batteries for the DBS that are implanted in my chest.
Oh, yeah.
And it was too much. So we got the idea, well, maybe we use horses to carry our gear. And so that's what we did the first year in 2016. But it didn't work out too well. We were too aggressive on the hikes. And so we used llamas and we lowered our mileage and our elevation gain. And now we have 9 multi-day trips planned for 2023 and almost 100 hikers.
Wow, that's really great. That is great. And how many people did you take through that first year on hikes?
We started with 10 and ended with 6.
All right. Okay, great. And now you're at 100 people ready to go, right?
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so I'd love to hear from Sarah. Sarah, who are you? What is your connection to Parkinson's and PasstoPass?
Hi, my name is Sarah Eitzman. I am, let's see. So I was diagnosed when I was 53 and I'm now 61. So that was 8 years ago. And I started backpacking when I was a teenager and continued through college and sort of then lost that connection with backpacking. And I think I heard about PasstoPass through Phinney. I think you guys must have advertised last year or done something, and it was like it popped up and I was like, wow, this is great. And I'm really into exercise, and I think Phinney does a great job with promoting exercise as a way to sort of decrease the progression, or how should we say it, slow the progression of Parkinson's. So that was it for me. And I run a support group for women with Parkinson's, and it was kind of interesting because the last year was the first time I did it, and 2 other women in my support group had actually heard about it. And I don't know how they heard about it too, but they also did a hike with PasstoPass. It was kind of cool. So we would prepare together and hike together as part of our group preparation, you know.
Nice. So what hike did you do and what did it involve?
So I did a 5-day backpacking trip. We had llama support, and it was so much fun. You know, the llamas are so cool. I really got into that because it's like you're sort of a spectacle on the trail. You know, there's all these thru hikers who are so hardcore about hiking, and then you show up with these beautiful animals, and they stop you and they take your picture, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. And where did you hike?
So we hiked, I think it was White Pass to Government Meadows. And it was just really fun. You know, the other people, I would say that, you know, the really cool thing is also seeing the other people with Parkinson's. There was somebody who had gotten DBS 6 months before and had not been able to walk around the block, and then progressed to being able to, you know, like do this hike. And he was over the moon. It was incredible to see.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Derek, what about you? What was your experience?
Well, I was diagnosed 10 years ago at the age of 40 with young onset. And at the time I was part of my son's Boy Scout troop, and I was a trip chair putting on backpacking trips for the troop. It was a high adventure troop. And we backpacked every month. So that's how I got my start in backpacking. My first trip was with Bill in 2017, I believe, and that was on a Washington State hike. And then it progressed to a couple of years after that. I started leading some hikes, and now I lead a hike that's not llama supported with people with Parkinson's on the John Muir Trail. We're section hiking it every year, looking to complete it probably not this summer, but next summer. And then I usually lead a trip in Washington as well. Like Linda said, exercise is a big part of my routine. I'm on the exercise bike every day. I've already been on it this morning, actually, for at least an hour, if not 2 hours. I have a little spinning machine that I set in front of my couch, so if I'm watching TV and my legs are always moving. You know, move it or lose it when you get Parkinson's. That's the name of the game. That and nutrition, what you put in your mouth and what you do with your body makes a difference. So it's been a pleasure to be a part of the community. I still backpack every month, even though my son's off to college. Usually he comes back and joins me for a trip, or 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights. And the goal here, like everyone's mentioned, is just to stay outside, stay active, and don't go on the offensive, not the defensive with Parkinson's.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Tamara, What was your experience?
Hi. I was diagnosed formally with Parkinson's in 2018, but my tremor started when I was in my mid 40s. I'm 64 now. And as a nurse practitioner, of course, I self-diagnosed myself, and I knew it was either just an intention tremor, familiar tremor, or Parkinson's, and I wasn't going to do anything about it. Well, fast forward to 2018, noticing my right arm wasn't swinging, my foot was dragging. There were a variety of other signs that I didn't contribute to Parkinson's. Well, I had what's called a DAT scan, a dopamine scan, and sure enough, that did confirm my diagnosis. It didn't set me back at all. If anything, it inspired me more. So I've always been active. When I graduated nursing school, I rode my bike from Seattle, Washington down to LA. Before I went into midwifery school, I rode my bike around the Yucatan Peninsula. I've always bike packed, I've always been active, and I love being outdoors. I need to be outdoors. I'm not a gym person, so I find that very difficult. So I live near the White Mountains. I've gone on overnight AMC hut hikes with girlfriends, doing many of the 4,000 footers, hiking Washington 2 or 3 times. And it just inspires me and motivates me when I'm on top of a ridge, and just the views are just so grateful to be alive. So with that, I saw, and again, I think it was on Davis Phinney also, that I saw the
Working.
PasstoPass.
It's working.
I know. That's, yeah. So I was in touch with Bill, and I chose it was White Pass to Chinook. And my daughter, who really isn't into hiking, but wanted to be with her mother, she's 32, was my support person. And it was just amazing to do it with her. And she was so inspired that she's going to be my support person for the hike I'm doing next year. And she's also getting involved to help with fundraising and getting things going. And she's the one who also motivated me to raise money. I set my goal for 500. She says, "Mom, 5,000." I'm like, okay. So lo and behold, we got 5,000. So
Nice.
yeah. And I've also seen, just touching on what Derek said about how important exercise is. When I was first diagnosed, you get tested every 6 months, a neurological test, highest score being 100, which is the worst. I've seen my score go from 26 to 19 to 13 down to 8.
Wow.
So my neurologist says the only thing that tells me you've got Parkinson's right now is that tremor in your hand and your foot. But other than that, and again, just as Derek said, it is lifestyle, it is moving, and what you put in your mouth. And I'm a firm believer of that too.
Oh, that's great. That's such an inspiring story. Linda, can you talk to us a little bit about, so it sounds like there are some supported with llamas, some trips not with llamas. And it sounds like, Tamara, you had somebody being your support person. So can you talk about how that's working with the gear on the different trips, how people can determine what's a good trip for them? Do care partners often come with people with Parkinson's? How's that work?
So the majority of our trips are with llama support. And whether you're in a group with llama support or not, you still have a person a support hiker to hike along with you. You can have a family member or a friend come join you. If you don't have someone to come with you, we have lots of support hikers who are just waiting for a chance to come hike with us. So again, the majority of the hikes are with the llamas, and that allows a hiker to just carry a day pack. So all they need to carry are their layers for the day, snacks, their medicine, water, and everything else that they need will go on the llama. Also, we provide sleeping pad. It's a very nice, thick, comfy sleeping pad, and chairs for the PD hikers. And those all go on the llamas as well. This year, for the first time, we are starting regional day hikes in Washington, Oregon, Southern California, Utah, Colorado, and New England. So we're excited about that. That gives people a chance to get going with a day hike, and then they can join, one of our overnight trips. Did that
Great.
answer all your questions, or was there something I missed?
No, that's perfect. How many PasstoPass leaders are on each hike, and how many people with Parkinson's and support hikers are usually in the group?
Okay, so every trip has a support or a trip leader and an assistant trip leader. And we usually have about 4 PD hikers to 4 support hikers. 4 to 5 PD hikers to 4 to 5 support hikers.
Okay.
So generally we're 8 to 10 people, and half of those are support people. And then you have usually 4 llamas.
Okay.
Can I
Great.
jump in about some of the leader stuff?
Definitely.
Majority of our leaders are wilderness first aid certified. So we've had some level of training just to make sure that we're prepared to handle emergencies. And most trip leaders have already been on a trip as a participant, usually in most cases. So there's we have a process of making sure they go through that, and they're trained on different things, and they're immersed in how we handle the llamas to how we handle emergency situations if there are any.
Great. I'd love to hear a little bit about maybe some surprising, obviously getting out in nature, hiking, exercising, amazing for people with Parkinson's. I'd love to learn a little bit about what are some of the surprising benefits that each of you experienced from going on these trips, and maybe some of the challenges you weren't expecting and how you overcame them, and how your group sort of helped you overcome them. Anyone? Tamari, do you have a thought on that?
Yeah. One of the many things that inspired me was we had quite a variety of people who were affected by Parkinson's, some not so much, some a little bit more. And there was one participant who, after the first day, she was going to quit. And so a couple of our group was all women in terms of Parkinson's participants. And we all went up to her and said, we hear you, but you can do this. She was worried she was too slow. It's like, this isn't a marathon. It's like, look at the beauty surrounding us. Look at the support that we're getting. We're all in this together. We all know what you're going through. Stick it out. We'll help you. We'll help you with the tent. We'll help you with whatever you need. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And sure enough, she finished it, and they all had a great time. And I think it's a lot more challenging than people think it's going to be. But it was just, for me, so heartwarming to see these folks really push it beyond their comfort zone and succeed in the environment. And I'm still in touch with women that I was with on the trip. So again, long-term friendships also.
Yeah, for sure. And I bet that woman, didn't look at challenges after that the same, right? Just knowing, okay, I think I'm done, but I still have some more in me, right? With the support of others. Sarah, what about you?
So repeat the question just so I make sure I'm not getting off topic.
Just some of maybe some of the surprise benefits, that went beyond sort of being in nature and exercise that you experienced as being part of a trip, and maybe any challenges or interesting, things that you learned.
Well, the challenge, I think, for us on our trip was the first day. I mean, it was just unseasonably warm. It was like 95 degrees. Which is weird in Washington at 6,000 feet to be that hot. So even the people who are from that area were just like, this is crazy. So, we were all challenged that first day. And, think about llamas having this thick wool coat. They were really having trouble. And so, my husband and I were mainly llama handlers that day. So we spent a lot of time just trying to encourage the llamas. And it was really different. I mean, these are huge animals. So that was, I'd say, the hardest challenge. And then kind of interestingly, the support people in our group are all spouses of people with Parkinson's. And I think they actually had a harder time than the actual people with Parkinson's.
Like in what regard?
Oh, I think it's
Like
just
the physical
they
piece,
had to take
or-
a full pack, whereas people with Parkinson's had to take 10 to 15 pounds, which is like a day, a day pack with food and stuff like that. But they were really challenged.
Interesting.
So I was surprised. I was like, wow, this is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. So is your husband gonna follow again with you?
Yeah. I mean, he's in really good shape. He runs marathons and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And,
Yeah.
so he'll do it again. And I think I might be able to get my 2 kids to be support hikers if they're needed.
That would be great. That'd be great. Derek, what about you? And then Bill, I'm gonna call back on you in a second.
Yeah, I think, one of the things I've noticed with Parkinson's is that, at least with the guys, they don't like to talk about it too much. And that's a shame, because I found that when I meet with other folks and I talk to other guys, there's a lot of life hacks, body hacks, so to speak, that you learn as you go along the way that to get around certain issues. What I appreciate about these trips is there's a lot of time together to talk on the trail, to spend time together at camp. And those conversations happen naturally and organically. And I think that's really important for people with Parkinson's to be sharing about how they handle certain physical issues, to emotional issues and so forth. This past summer, we had one guy who had refrained from taking the standard carbidopa levodopa until he saw a bunch of us popping these pills and hiking, jamming up these hills. So he got back. He made the phone call to his doctor before he even got back, and he's on it. I stayed in contact with him, and he's like, "This is just a game changer." I'm like, "That's what we told you," but it takes having that camaraderie, that connection, and that's really, including the exercise. Really, what these trips are all about is getting other people together, sharing their stories, learning from each other, and being an encouragement to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good story. Outcome of getting to connect with other people living a similar path. Let's see. I think, Bill, what are some of the challenges that you've seen people experience over the last several years?
Well, one of the biggest ones, I think, is varying degrees of fatigue. You can have some hikers that charge right up the mountain and have a really fast gait, and other hikers that plod along at a steady rate usually, but they're a little bit slower. So we try to accommodate everybody's situation, and we try to steer them for the degree of difficulty of the hike that matches what we hope they're able to accomplish. What we don't want to do is set someone up for failure.
Right. So I
We
saw
try to
on the
start-
site that there'll be something that'll say, moderate, difficult, that kind of thing. What, anybody explain a little bit more when we're talking about, especially, let's think about those day hikes that are happening. What do people need to do to be prepared? Or what are some activities that you could say, oh, if you can do X, Y, Z, you would be ready for this hike, that kind of thing?
Well, hopefully some elevation gain in your preparation hikes,
Mhm.
and build up your, start out slow and increase it gradually over a period of several months at least. I'm always out moving and hiking, and I have a training route that I used to go up. My disease has progressed to the point where I don't think I'll be able to do any more multi-day hikes, but I am trying to stay on the day hike schedule.
Great. Derek, were you gonna chime in there?
Yeah, my observation is that for first time participants, it's important to make sure that you understand the difference between hiking and backpacking.
Mhm.
So if they don't know the difference, then you know that you want to start on an easier hike. And that's why we do our day hikes, because that's really kind of the part of the process to getting to know us, how what kind of physical demands can be placed on you. And if you're a strong day hiker and you can carry, as a parky 10 to 15 pounds in your back, you're probably going to be okay. But I'd encourage people who want to go on trips like this that if you're going to go on an overnight trip, I've gone on an overnight trip in the last 6 to 12 months, at least for 2 nights. And if you've done that, you're probably going to be perfectly fine on some of our beginner hikes. And once you've been through the beginner hikes and you can progress up towards the more advanced ones, is ideally how we set it up. So we don't want to just throw people into a double black diamond hike. That's no fun for anybody, and it's dangerous. We won't have that.
Yeah.
But we want to match their experience with the right appropriate experience that they're going to have with us on one of these trips.
Mhm. So for those people watching that are like, I want the hardest, the longest, the best of all of them, how long is the longest backpacking trip, and what sort of elevation? Where is it? And like how many miles are you covering a day?
The longest one last year was about 70 miles in the Sierras, and we were up and down 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet within a day. That would be normal. And it's the most we did in a day was maybe, I don't know, what was it, Linda, 11 to 13 miles. And that was with full packs. We didn't have llamas on that trip. So some of us are packing food for 9 days. So, you're starting off with 40
yeah,
pounds.
you gotta be real ready for that.
Yeah. But the next hardest one with llamas is going to have more elevation gain. You could be up to 1,000 or 1,500 feet within a day. Maximum mileage is maybe an 8-mile day. You need to be able to go that just in case there's an emergency, we have a fire or something. We need to think about how we're going to get people out if that's the case, and make sure they have the capacity to dig deep and go the distance if we get in the situation.
Right. Linda, yeah, Sarah.
Yeah, there's one thing that I thought was an important thing that, so one of the women who was in my support group hadn't actually gone on a backpacking trip. And I think it's actually important to go on a backpacking trip before you do this, because there's a couple of things. And in a backpacking trip where you don't have a bathroom, a shower, because that's not going to be there on this backpacking trip. And I think people are just like, oh yeah, that's something that I can't do, or I'm like not comfortable with. And they're doing it for 5 days, then you're really putting a challenge for them. So they should at least have that. And then the other thing is, I'm a flatlander, so I live on the coast, and I think it's actually a really good idea to do some elevation, like real elevation, like go to a 6,000 foot, at least base camp, and kind of put yourself on that challenge, because it's a different environment.
Yeah, for sure. It takes a minute, right, to get acclimated to. I wasn't sure, Linda, if you had something that you wanted to say, or.
I did, but it's gone now.
Oh, okay.
I think I was going to say, I myself don't have Parkinson's, but I listen to those who do. And one person with young onset has shared the story of how being a part of this group, as Derek was saying, and learning from others who have Parkinson's and seeing what he can do with young onset Parkinson's, kind of opened his world. So I got the impression, listening to him tell his story, that when he first heard he had young onset, it kind of closed him in, and he didn't even want to talk to anybody about it. And once he started hiking with PasstoPass and around other people who had Parkinson's, he gained confidence on the hike. It showed him what he could do. He was watching what others were doing, and it gave him confidence. And then when he got off the trail, he was able to talk to people about it more. So I think, confidence. I feel like it can be very challenging for some people. and you need to be prepared for those challenges. But at the same time, having a goal helps to hold us accountable. So when we have a goal, then we do that exercise every day, and then we push through the challenges and see what we can do with the camaraderie of others who are going through the same thing. And it builds that confidence to then go out into real life living with Parkinson's.
Right. So Tamara, you had said something about fundraising. Is there a fundraising component to this to be able to sign up and be part of a hike, or is it just some people turn it into fundraisers for them?
No, that is and Linda and Derek can also speak to this. That is part of the deal. The thing that makes this so, one of the many things that makes this PasstoPass organization so wonderful is that it's free. I mean, you don't have to pay for the guides. They're all volunteers. You just have to get yourself to wherever it is the starting point is. But with that gift of them volunteering, the llamas have to be paid for, gear needs to be bought, the pads, there's Bill comes at the, Nadine, his wife, come at the end and feed us. And at the beginning, they feed us, there's all these background costs. And so as part of doing a hike, it is expected that you do some fundraising to support PasstoPass. And yeah, Bill would be a great person to take this question.
Bill, can you give us a little more info on that?
Well, we're kind of a soft sell on our fundraising. We ask the participants to send emails out to their friends and family and ask them to support us through donations. And we keep our costs as low as we can because we're all volunteers, no paid staff. And we've even got 3 teams of llamas, and most of the llamas are donated. We have 16 llamas this year.
Wow.
And so there's quite a bit involved to logistics. So we try to keep it free to the participants. And if they need help with travel, we have an annual stipend that we offer to help them fly in.
Oh, wow.
It depends. We've had no trouble really raising money and enough funds for the way we operate.
That's amazing. What an amazing organization you've created and for service to everybody. Derek, were you going to chime in?
No, Bill and Tamara covered it.
Okay. All right. So is there anybody that, aside from, let's just kind of, actually, we may have already addressed it. People that it's not ideal for, or like people who don't really know what backpacking is, are not comfortable sleeping outside or without a bathroom in uncertain conditions, uncertain weather, not ideal, but a great fit for people who want to exercise, want to challenge themselves, like being part of a group environment, want to meet new people, want more connections in the Parkinson's world. Anything else that I missed that you think is important for people to know?
Yes, I'll take that one. Last year we started a trip that people stay in the lodge at Mount Rainier for 2 days, and they do day hikes for 3 days. They have to pay for their own lodging, but this allows people who think they're not really up for a multi-day trip to still go hiking with us and enjoy the outdoors with the comforts of being at the lodge each night. And it's got to be a real big success. It's hard to say, no, you can't go. We don't think you should be on this trip. We can fall back to the easier day hikes and still they can enjoy what we all enjoy.
Oh, that's great.
And
Yeah,
can I just add, Mel, that being said, we are now, as Bill had mentioned, we're now starting other chapters in other states, which is new. And Bill wisely instructed us to start very simple, with elevation gains not more than, I think it was 700 or 800 feet, not more than 7 miles, making sure the terrain isn't really rocky and rooty. And again, it gives a way of people to test themselves, to meet other people, to see what they are capable of, what they may not be capable of. And again, this just spreads a word on hiking camaraderie and what you can do. So myself, and actually today, 2 other women who are in the New England area that Bill introduced me to are having a Zoom call this evening to discuss our newly formed New England chapter and taking different day hikes and different trails. So it really is like little mycelium or tentacles that are now spreading throughout the United States. And who knows, maybe we'll start doing European trips.
Right?
It's just very, very exciting. And I
Very
have
cool.
Bill and the others on the board to thank for that.
That is super exciting. So are all of the open hikes on the website for next year, Linda?
Yes, they're all listed up there, as well as the regional hike contact people. They're also on the website.
Great.
So yes, someone who's interested can go right to the website, and there's forms to fill out to show their interest and show what hikes they're interested in, and then they would be contacted.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, I'll definitely share the link to that and some of the show notes for this, and excited to share this with everybody. I hope you get a full house next year. It sounds really great. I love the idea of shorter hikes to give people a taste, and maybe they'll start out with some of those and then graduate to that 9-day one that sounds totally insane. Sounds great. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Bill. We can't see you, but we're waving to you. And I look forward to sharing this with our community and to hear all the great stories that come from it.